What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the new Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. This movie, of course, is directed by Don Hall, Carlos López Estrada, Paul Briggs, and John Ripa. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below any video you watch, including this one. So this world that is Raya the Last Dragon is the world of Kumandra, and at one point in Kumandra's history, the different entities that are now broken up were a united front. Well, basically people get greedy and they start arguing with one another and things start happening where the country starts falling apart. And basically these factions that are named stuff like Fang and Spine and Heart basically break off into their own kind of separate countries and so on and so forth. So no, it's no longer united. Well, at the point that it was Kumandra, they had dragons, they had protectors and so on and so forth. And when everything kind of went to crap, the dragons disappeared, and the only thing left is, of course, this soul crystal, which Heart, which is where Raya lives, basically takes care of and protects. And so after a gathering of the different nations and so on and so forth, Raya, who of course is voiced by Kelly Marie Tran, basically befriends this girl named Namaari, who's of course voiced by Gemma Chan. And in the process, Namaari betrays Raya, and everybody basically fights over the crystal, fights over the soul of the dragon, and the crystal shatters, brings this whole entity up from the ground, which basically is similar to like Medusa, where if you are in contact with it, you are turned to stone. And in essence, it becomes a worldwide issue and so on and so forth, causing Raya's dad to become stone and to basically lead Raya on a 6-year quest with her, I don't know what kind of creature it is, but it's called Tudyk, which is of course voiced by Tudyk, to go on a quest to not only find the crystals, but to find this dragon named Sizu, which is considered the great dragon, the one that, basically destroyed these creatures and so on and so forth. And like a typical Disney movie, she finds Sizu, and of course it talks. It's voiced by, of course, Awkwafina. And they go on a venture to basically get all the crystals to stop all the chaos in the world that's going on, with the help of different people that become like the lost souls of each nation. So we have this young kid from one country. We have this really adorable young baby with her monkey foe or monkey friends who are like pickpockets and stuff like that. You have another kind of big old like lumbering guy, and then you have Sizu and so on and so forth, and they go on a quest like the misfits, I guess you could say. And so she goes up against Fang, who, like I said, Namaari betrayed him and so on and so forth. They're like the anti-heroes in the story, and it basically becomes a quest to basically put everything right that once went wrong. Quantum Leap. And so with that said, Raya and the Last Dragon, with the synopsis kind of out of the way, is a movie that I wasn't really highly anticipating because, when it comes to Disney movies, it really takes a special trailer or a special idea, and if I hear rumblings of this movie being good, I get excited. But when it's something like Frozen, so on and so forth, it's just never my cup of tea. But the last great movie that I saw from Disney Animation Studios, which has basically become better than Pixar in a lot of respects, I love Pixar, but after Soul and Onward last year, this movie completely just like destroys it. But that's not the point. So the last great movie I saw from Disney Animation Studios was Moana. And Moana was just a fun, very intriguing tale that had a lot of great songs and, over-the-top characters. It had, like, one of my favorite, side characters, the Hey, the rooster or whatever. And it was just a fun movie. It had great, songs and so on and so forth. And so this movie, from the get-go, I didn't really care for the trailers very much. I didn't think it was that great. The animation I knew was going to be outstanding, know what they're capable of and stuff like that. But it's a movie that once it started getting word of mouth, and once people started reviewing it, I knew I made a mistake in not believing that Disney would put out something spectacular in a lot of ways. And I'll be fairly honest, after watching this movie, after kind of letting it sink in and so on and so forth, this movie is quite incredible. Yes, it follows the same tropes and same dealings that Disney's always known for, with like the characters' parents kind of being missing and having that crazy funny characters, side characters that it has, and the beautiful score, which is one of James Newton Howard's best scores I've ever heard. He should get an Oscar just for this score alone. But it's a movie that kind of follows step by step by step that Disney formula that seems to work 100% of the time, because obviously they make a lot of money with what they're doing, win a bunch of Oscars and so on and so forth. But what I think sets this movie apart is it takes a material, it takes an idea, and then it takes a culture that isn't very well represented in animated films outside of their own country. And it completely knocks it out of the park. Like, every portion of this movie is gorgeous to watch. It's beautifully rendered, beautifully detailed, beautifully sung. It's just it's a movie that has so much heart and so much love and so much care, that you just feel that the four directors just really had something that they were just going for, and they completely delivered on that product. You know, there are points in this movie where you really feel the sadness, you really feel the loneliness of this character that is Raya, and it's nice to see somebody like Kelly Marie Tran, who had got so much hate for The Last Jedi, doing something so remarkably stunning and so beautifully resonant that her character just, she became a Disney princess the moment she started talking, the moment she started, you know, her emotive motions and stuff like that. It's a really beautifully done character, and she is a lot of fun. She has a lot of heart, and she's filled with a lot of soul. And to watch her, you know, band together with these individuals, and to see how different these individuals are, but how kind of chaotic and how much they like raise her emotions and level of maturity. It's a really well done character, and I could see somebody like Raya becoming a classic Disney princess just for that simple reason. And then, like I said, you have all the smaller characters who are goofy and whimsical and funny. Like I said, you have probably my favorite characters outside of Tudyk, because I love those side characters, where, like I said, you have this baby and you have these three monkeys, and they basically are pickpocketers. They basically are con artists, and the reason this baby is even involved because her mother got turned into stone. But it's these characters that, as long as you can write them properly and you can get just enough nuance out of them, you can have a great set of characters that will resonate with the population. These four characters, including Tudyk, are going to go down as some of the most popular characters in Disney for that simple reason. They're just funny characters. They're just entertaining characters. They're well written. You know, every time the baby talks, it's like, bah, 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 bah. It just talks like a baby, and yeah, it's very smart in what it's trying to do. It's like if you took the Boss Baby and actually made it good, that type of thing. It's just a lot of fun to watch. And then you have like the young boy who is actually their ship steward in the movie, who, you know, uses a ship. He's also a cook. He does a lot of multitasking, but he's just a fun, well-rounded character that does so much good. He just does so much good with his character that you just have so much fun watching it. It's so much entertaining. Like I said, there's one more character. It's the chieftain. He's like the chieftain of Spine, which is this wooded, frozen area where everybody in the village has basically been turned to stone. And it's just, he's a character that you start to warm up to as you get more and more in touch with who he is and what he's had to gone through and what he goes through. Because the one thing about stories like this and stories in general, if you can write the characters, especially the side characters, to be well-rounded, well-developed, and three-dimensional, you can really get behind them, even though they come off a little in your face in the beginning, but somehow they start to slowly kind of eke your way into your system, that it's just a very well done, well-rounded character. And it's the same thing there. And then, of course, you have Namaari and Verana, who basically are the mother and daughter. Verana, of course, is voiced by Sandra Oh, who are in charge of I don't want to say that they're the bad guys, but they play themselves off as the bad guys because they want the crystal for themselves. They want to protect their land, which, you know, in its justified nature, you would understand that. But I think what Namaari does and what the writers and directors have done is make her a antagonist that's not really an antagonist. She's an anti-hero. She's doing everything to protect her land or protect her people, but there's enough doubt in her soul, or there's enough doubt in her mind where she kind of truly doesn't almost believe what she's doing. So when her mother, Varan, comes into the mix and tries to push her forward, you can really feel like there's something really truly wrong there. And it's a very kind of sad and kind of depressing thing to watch. But as the movie moves along, you start to kind of root for Namaari because you understand what she's trying to do. And then when she gets to her eventual conclusion, you truly understand that she's not a bad person. There's no bad people outside of those entities that are just entity demons that are there just to kind of push the story forward. But it's not like she's the ultimate baddie, because there's no ultimate baddie in this movie, to be fairly honest. And that leads to the final character, the second kind of major character in the movie, and that, of course, is Sizu, who, of course, is voiced by Awkwafina. Now, your feeling about this character at first is going to be based on your feeling of Awkwafina as an actress, because it is a little too in your face. It's a little too much sometimes. She can be a little too boisterous, and the character is a very animated, very Disney-fied character. But as the movie moves along, as the story moves along, as Raya and Sizu and all these characters start to develop their, friendship and camaraderie, you really start to get a sense that this dragon, this character there's more to this character, there's more to the dragon itself. So as the movie moves along, you start to feel more and more kind of in touch with the Sizu character. You feel like Awkwafina is slowly starting to develop her character. She's slowly starting to kind of push herself into a new dimensional character, and it really starts to work, and it actually starts to kind of make you kind of root for this character and root for him. I didn't think Awkwafina would work when I first heard her in this movie, but it slowly starts to kind of, work as it moves along. So that's a really nice thing to watch and a really nice thing to see. And like I said, it plays real well with, of course, the Raya character, who's really well developed in her own right. So when it comes to this movie, when it comes to Disney and Pixar, you cannot not talk about the animation. And the animation and what Disney and Pixar and the two studios are doing, they've literally outpaced and outrun every studio that's ever come into the frame when it comes to digital prowess and the ability to make technicality and, physicality and, realism without being truly photorealism, and just the nature of the physics machines that they're using, and the ideas of, how water works and how hair works and how clothing works and how weather works and how sand and dirt and how characters move and so on and so forth. It's so mind-bogglingly what they're doing that you're just in awe every time you watch this movie. I didn't see this in laser projected or IMAX or Dolby Theater, but I was still just in awe with how beautiful how it looked, how almost photorealistic everything looked. I still don't know how they do it. I don't know what they're creating magic, but the computers that they're using and the technology that they're using and the just kind of researching what they're doing, it's incredible. It really is. I just can't believe sometimes what they are able to do. And I have to give a special shout out to the people who work on the water physics, because there is a scene in this movie where Raya falls off a bridge and she's basically trying to survive in the water, which is all over the place. It's like realistic looking, and the digital camera goes underneath the water, and I swear to God, it looks like it's literally a person took a camera outside and went underneath the water. It is insane. It really is. The level of water work in these movies and the level of just nature of how good they are to do what they do, it almost feels like the system's in place and they just have to pop in characters or design characters and go, we'll throw them in the river, see what happens, and the river just does its own thing. But that scene alone just kind of blew my mind. So it was pretty incredible. But yeah, with that said, like I said, James Newton Howard deserves an Oscar for this score. It's incredible. It's one of his best scores I've ever heard him create. There's some truly moving moments. There's some truly moving situations, and it just boggles my mind sometimes how good these composers are when it comes to creating mood and tension and fear and awe and so on and so forth. So give James Newton Howard, unless there's a score that comes and beats this score, give James Newton Howard the Oscar for the score in 2022, because I don't think it's up for 2021. So that'll do it for my review of Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a highly recommended, it's worth seeing. I don't know if you want to pay $30 to see it, but when it comes out to eventually where everybody can see it, or if you have a chance to go to the theater, definitely watch it. And I'm going to leave it at this. There is a short at the beginning of this movie, which is insanely great. It's one of their best shorts I've seen them do in a long time, since I think that paper airplane short they did. The use of water, the use of rain, the use of dancing, which is very inspired from Singing in the Rain. If it's not, I'm really surprised. Is incredible. It deals with older folks who have used to have a love for dancing but have become old, and the husband kind of has to relearn himself and how the ring affects everything. And it's just a very moving, very kind of awe-inspiring piece, and it's going to win an Oscar probably. But it's a short that is definitely, even if the people who reviewed it, if you have a way to see it, definitely check it out, because it's definitely the highlight of this movie that's already highlighted in an amazing fashion. So, but that's it. That's gonna be my take on both the short and the movie Raya and the Last Dragon. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the movie. Did you buy it on Disney Plus? Tell me what you think about it on Disney Plus. If you went to the theater, let me know what you thought. But if you've seen it, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.